Hey everyone, welcome to Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss the news that broke last Thursday regarding Jasmine Savoy Brown returning to Scream 7 to reprise her role as Mindy Meeks, the sister of Chad. So the twins are suddenly back together again, guys. But questions linger, and I wanted to wait a few days to give it some thought and how it could potentially affect or impact the storyline of the movie. So now that I've done that, I'm ready to give you my thoughts and share them all with you. And I'm going to ask you to share yours with me a little bit later. So let's discuss this right now. Let's go.
It's David Arquette, Dewey from the Scream movies, as you know. Remember, there's only one rule to surviving a horror movie, and that's subscribing to Craving Something Scary.
So Variety reported this past Thursday afternoon that Jasmine is returning to Scream 7 again to play the role of Mindy, Chad's sister. So yes, the twins are back for Scream 7. So I have some thoughts to share with you about this and some specific questions for you in a little bit later that I'm going to request you give your answer in the comments section below. But first, I'll start with some of my initial thoughts. Number one, I believe that bringing Jasmine back was a very strategic move by the studio. Now, the reason I say this is because it was just a few weeks ago now that she posted on her social media that she is not returning for Scream 7. It was announced and all set that Mason Gooding was returning, and now all of a sudden Jasmine's back, seemingly out of the blue. So I personally think this was a very recent decision to bring her back. I think it's very possible that bringing her back was driven by another decision that was made by Spyglass, which leads me to my second thought about all of this. And that is the timing of this announcement is also a very strategic move. Why? Well, because the news broke Thursday morning that Patrick Dempsey was not going to return and reprise his role as Mark Kincaid and Sydney's husband. Then, on the very same day in the afternoon, the news drops that Jasmine is back. And it really feels like they wanted to make the Scream fandom feel better and not be so focused on Patrick not coming back. I think it's very possible that the studio, once they realized that they were not going to make a deal with Patrick Dempsey, they got on the phone and offered Jasmine the opportunity to return for Scream 7. Perhaps an attempt at what they knew was going to be damage control by offering some fan service and bringing her back. That's my thoughts on this, guys. The timing is just, it's all about timing. You got to never forget that. It's everything, every move is all about timing, and the fact that we see this happen on the same day and in the order that it happened. It wasn't Jasmine's announcement, then Patrick. It was Patrick. Get the bad news out in the morning. And while we're all thinking on that, hey guys, Jasmine's returning, Mindy's back, and as a way to kind of sugarcoat perhaps the wounds over Dempsey that a lot of us have in the fandom. So that's my thoughts on her return. I think the studio made the move. I think it was a desperate move. Now, does that mean she's going to be horrible or, the movie's going to be terrible now? Well, no, not necessarily at all. And that's what I want to talk about now, which is how does her return potentially impact the storyline of Scream 7? Now, I always thought that it made sense to bring Chad back in 7 because he could serve kind of as the narrator to tell the characters on screen and also us in the audience what happened to Sam and Tara and Mindy and why they're not in the story anymore, at least in Scream 7. Then I assumed he would have been either killed by Ghostface at some point in the movie or that he would have just left and that was it. We wouldn't see him anymore. However, with Chad and Mindy both back, honestly, just being completely honest, I just don't see the need for both of them. Because the only real need here is to fill the gap between of what happened to the Carpenters in Scream 6. Why aren't they here? And then why isn't Mindy here? Chad could have done that, and I think mission accomplished. But now we've got both of them, and if you think about it, this is a Sidney-driven movie, a Sidney-focused film, and they only had a limited amount of interaction with Sidney back in Scream 5. And other than being Randy's niece and nephew, there's a connection there, obviously, because she was great friends with Randy. But other than that, I don't see them hanging out with Sidney and just kind of like coming over, spending the night at Sidney's house, watching the kids, whatever. It just doesn't seem natural. Not for them. If they had had a lot more contact with Sidney in 5, it would have been a more foundation, I think, to build like this. But there's just not a very strong foundation for the twins in a Sidney-focused Scream film. Now, they do have a little more rooted relationship with Gale, mostly from the events of Scream 6. And perhaps Gale is going to recruit the twins to help her investigate the attacks and murders in the movie, kind of like she did with Charlie and Robbie at the film club back in Scream 4. She kind of recruited them, to kind of help her get down to the bottom of what's going on, right? So outside of that or something kind of like that, I just don't see how they're going to bring a ton of value to the story other than familiarity for the newer Scream fans. Now, I have my fingers crossed that Kevin is writing some amazing dialogue and scenes for Mindy and for the twins that, hey, maybe it'll blow us away. It'll be amazing. And their value to the film ends up being huge. That would be great to see. But we're going to have to wait and see on February 27th of 2026 to see if that's going to be the case or not. But I am keeping my fingers crossed. I'm not going to say that this makes the movie terrible. Nothing like that. I think it could still be very good. And again, written correctly, perhaps they can make the movie even better. So guys, those are my first two thoughts about her return and the return of the twins for that matter. Now listen, I have two questions I want to ask you, and I really hope you'll participate and leave your comments in the section below because I want to see what your answers are. All right, so this could be a lot of fun, but you have to leave your answers. So here we go. This is for you guys. You're hearing my voice right now. These next two questions are for you to answer. Number one, do you believe the decision made to hire Jasmine to return as Mindy is more of a fan service move because the studio knew they were going to lose Dempsey, or do you think it's a complete coincidence? Leave a comment right now. Let me know what your answer is to question number one. And question number two is that do you think having the twins back for Scream 7 will make the movie better? Or will it make it worse? Or will it not have much impact at all either way? That's your second question that I'm asking you to answer in the comments section below. All right, guys. So I'm going to leave it here for this update, but I'll be back soon with more Scream 7 and other horror movie content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thanks for watching.